Hey, Grammar 5, it's Mrs. Bunker here. Happy Monday. Hope you guys had a great weekend and that you are looking forward to all the fun things you're going to do this week. Sorry we can't be in class today to talk about all the fun things you did over the weekend. I'm sure you did some great things at home, seeing how none of us are really going anywhere. I played outside a ton. Thanks for asking. So let's go ahead and hop into lesson 101, which is rounding mixed numbers to the nearest whole number. So of course, if you haven't done your facts practice or your mental math warm-up and problem solving, please stop and do those right now. Just go ahead and hit pause on the video and do the things that you need to do. Then you can restart the video. But if you've already done those things, awesome. Let's go ahead and talk about rounding mixed numbers to the nearest whole number. So the big idea here is looking at a mixed number and knowing which whole number it is closest to. So if you look at 7 3/4, we know that 7 3/4 is going to lie halfway between 7 1/2 and 8. We know that it is between the whole numbers of 7 and 8 because you have 7 whole ones and 3/4 of another one. So when we say that 7 3/4 is near 7 or 8, we're going to look at this number line right here. And we know that since 7 3/4 is between 7 1/2 and 8, we know that it's closer to 8 than it is to 7. So 7 3/4 rounds up to 8. So that was a pretty simple one because we know that 3/4 is the same as 75 hundredths, or if you think of quarters, it's like 75 cents. So 75 cents is closer to $1. But what about a fraction that maybe you're less familiar with? So there's a pretty cool trick I'm going to show you here. So if you look at example 1, it's round 6 2/5 to the nearest whole number. Well, 6 2/5 is between the numbers 6 and 7. So we need to decide whether it is near 6 or near 7. Well, 6 1/2 is halfway between 6 and 7, but which is larger, 2/5 or 1/2? Well, if you look at 1/2, you know that 1 is half of 2. If you compare then the numerator of 6 2/5, the numerator is less than half the denominator. Half of 5 would be 2 1/2, but we have 2, which is less than the denominator. Because of that, it is less than 1/2. Now, if this were 6 and um, 6 and what would it be? If this would have been 6 2/4, then we would have known that these would be equal and it's halfway through, but it's 6 2/5, and 2/5 is smaller than 1/2. And because of that, we're going to round down to 6. So example 2, it says estimate the area of this rectangle by rounding the length and the width to the nearest inch before multiplying. So if we look at 8 7/8, is that whole or mixed number rounded to 8 or 9? Well, it's between 8 and 9, but because 7 in the numerator is very close to 8, that means it's almost at 8/8. In fact, it is only 1/8 of an inch away from being a whole number. So we're going to round that up to 9. And then 5 1/4, we're going to round that down to 5 because 5 1/4 is closer to 5 than it is to 6. So then we would multiply 9 times 6 and we get 45 square inches. And of course, I hope you guys know that if we were in class, I would remind you, please put the units because it doesn't count if it doesn't have the units. So at this point, guys, go ahead and do your lesson practice. Make sure that you get it checked out by a parent just to make sure that you get the big idea. And then when you get that all done, go ahead and get started on your mixed practice and you are going to be all done for the day. All right, we'll check back in tomorrow for lesson 102. All right, guys, bye.